What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Welcome back. Yep, we're still in that AFCON mood. Although I think South Africans are reeling today. They are waking up with broken hearts. Um, Yesterday was quite a, how can I say? It was a crappy show. Firstly, from the lineup, I don't know what was happening there. Um, us having to play five defenders didn't make sense if we want to win. Oh, and by the way, the score is 2-1. Egypt is leading Benin, and it's 101 minutes extra time. It's quite an exciting game. Benin kind of shocked Egypt with a late equalizer, but Egypt are back. So yeah, we on that while we're talking about the Bafana woes and all the other um, woes that we saw yesterday. Um, so I think first of all the lineup for me was not a really great lineup. Um, very defensive lineup, if I can put it that way. Um, no creativity, no um, attacking. We had three clear cut chances in the first 15, 20 minutes, and that could have been game, set, match, done. Let's go home, prepare for the quarters. But again, the curious case of Lyle Foster missing a free header. Yes, it was close, but at this level, close is not good enough. Um, our number 10, Mufugeng, again, 1v1 situation. Yes, he was getting under pressure, but again, at this level, you bury that chance. Um, we had another chance, just slips my mind, but essentially, we had three clear cut chances where we could have won. And after that, once Cameroon started to get a bit of a hold of the game and start to take control of the midfield, that was that. That was that. So I don't know people who were saying, pundits who were saying, us beating Zimbabwe is a message to the rest of the tournament and this and that. And look what's happened. Look what's happened. This is the kind of message that these guys were talking about. So yeah, I think it's uh, as I said before, I was not going to be shocked or surprised if we didn't go through. Um, for me, I always thought that we don't have the mental capabilities to compete at such high levels. Uh, the PSL is one level. I don't know if it's the level that people think it is, but we had the bulk of our squad played in the plays in the PSL, um, and they showed nothing for all the so-called good things that they do at club level during the season. Um, so yeah, that's my take. I think the day we start exporting proper players like we used to, um, the day we start having these players playing in the big leagues in Europe. I mean, okay, yes, the Saudi Pro League is not seen as a big league, but the European leagues where there are big clubs where there's big pressure every day. Um, until we get players playing at those levels, I doubt we will win an AFCON. I doubt we will um, progress to the last 16 of a World Cup. Um, and it's unfortunate because people are saying this is the best squad we've had since the 96 squad. Some are saying this is a better squad than we had when we came third in the previous tournament. Um, you know, uh, the, the team, despite two team, Coach Mayanga and Tato, we're very confident that this team will do well, especially with the guidance of the coach. But I always said, especially now when the tournament started during these virtuals, that I don't think our problem is a coaching problem. Our problem is a mental problem, right? So again, it shows yesterday. We we are. I mean, yes, some of these players are young and all of that, but hey, Ketile, you said you wanted to be a footballer who plays at the highest level, then show your worth, right? So Lyle Foster, Rilem Mofokeng, those I specifically talk about those two because those were literally clear cut chances. Even the third one was, but after that there was nothing. Um, our best player in this tournament was a defender. That's that's for me. For me, our best player in the tournament was Mbogazi. He showed that he can, you know, he can do his thing at a high level at such a young age. Um, but the rest of it, guys, I don't know. Um, it's not a thing. So if you look at this lineup, right? So we essentially playing 5-2-3, right? Yes, the official stats say, oh, this is courtesy of goal.com. The official stats say it's 4-3-3. But if you really look at it, when you look at the individual players, you've got five defenders. CBC is literally sitting in front of Ngezana and Bogazi. Then you've got two sixes, and then you've got two wingers and a striker. So that's literally 5-2-3, right? I don't know why we were scared of Cameroon. Um, they didn't, for me, didn't see like they were a threat throughout the tournament so far. I didn't think they were going to be that much of a threat if we play to our strengths, of course. And so, we here we're looking at this team, and this is, I mean, there's no creativity there, right? Other than the two wingers, you know. And I mean, Mufugeng, that's his first game. Technically, I mean, he's starting his first game. It's the last 16. Yes, Apollos has been playing, but again, he's been trying, but not enough in my opinion. I spoke about Lyle Foster. Lyle Foster is just, for me, he shouldn't even be wearing the Bafana number 9 in my view. Just because he plays for Burnley doesn't mean anything. Burnley is a bottom of the table. It's a championship club, really. I mean, they're going up and down the championship and the Premier League every other year, so it doesn't mean anything. Um, um, Funny enough, one of the Nigerian pundits were talking about how it'll take a long time for us to win the AFCON until we export players like we used to, like the Steven Pinars, the Benny McCarthy's, the Lucas Khadebes, the Mark Fishers, the Phil Masingas, the Shoeses, the Pitos, the Hombelas, until we export all of these so-called great PSL players to play in the A grade leagues in Europe. It's going to be difficult to it's going to be difficult to come to come against any team, really, whether it's an AFCON or a World Cup. Um, yeah, and if we were to look at some of the stats, let's look at some of the stats. We had 66% ball possession. Um, we had 20 throw-ins. I mean, clubs these days have throw-in coaches. Couldn't Safa, create a little budget for a throw-in coach if this is what it is, right? Um, Total shots 16, on target 4. So, and we only scored one out of the 4 on target, right? So that is not enough. First of all, that means we're not creating enough. Um, that means I mean, our expected goals were 2.3. Surely, I mean, if we had scored those first 3 goals, those first 3 chances in the first half, bam, we right on the mark. That's how much we were expected to almost dominate, and we did dominate, you know. But again, it wasn't enough. Um, this is the attacking stats again, courtesy of goal.com. Um, they counter-attacked us 3 times, and I would like to actually find out of those 3 counterattacks, how many, which of the 2 goals they actually scored, if any. Because again, why are we not counterattacking? If we dispossess the opponent, uh, we should be agile enough to be able to catch them where they're weak, right? But we didn't even do that. Um, so yeah, I don't know, guys. This is literally most likely. I don't know. People are saying maybe the squad will change for the World Cup, but this is literally what the squad we had, and I would imagine Hugo Bruce and Midnight Express are thinking this is the core of the team. Yes, maybe by injuries or lack of form or whatever the case may be at the time, maybe there'll be a few additions here and there and a few subtractions here and there. But essentially, this is the squad that we could take to the World Cup, you know. Um, so I would say between now and then, we need to galvanize as a country and get Ikram Reyners and Bradley Grobler into this team, because if we don't have at least those 2 guys, because those 2 guys are experienced goal scorers, they can create chances out of nothing. I mean, they are hard workers up front. They chase, you know, they hustle. Um, their work rate is quite high for strikers. So I mean, we need 2 of those guys in there, both of them. We need to get Ikram Reyners fit and you know, on target. We need to get or keep Bradley Grobler fit, playing, banging in the goals, no injuries and things like that, so that we can at least have a chance for the group stage. At least have a chance at winning one of those games for the group stage of the World Cup. But as it is, it's gonna be, from what I see, it's not gonna work. Not with this type of not with these types of lineups that we are seeing here. Um, yeah. So looking at the round of 16, obviously we've gone out. Cameroon is in. Morocco played a hard-fought 1-0 yesterday against Tanzania. So Cameroon, Morocco, that should be a humdinger. That should definitely be a humdinger. Um, and we've got, it's still 2-1, still 2-1 to Egypt, Benin. Egypt I mean, Arab countries, as I say, have a knack of holding on to draws and or holding on to leads, um, unless Benin come up with something again here. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe Egypt will go through. Senegal also has gone through, beating Sudan 3-1. Mali, hard fought comeback, 1 man down, took it all the way to pens and won 3-2. Um, just spoke about Morocco. We've spoken about Cameroon and Bafana. And then obviously, in a few minutes, we're going to see Nigeria, Mozambique. On paper, I'd say Nigeria wins that, unless Mozambique comes up with something that a Mali did yesterday, or a Benin tried to do here tonight. Yeah, and then tomorrow we've got Algeria, DR Congo. That should be a nice one. Ivory Coast, Burkina Faso. That should also be a nice one. Um, and then and then we see how these giants are gonna get all the way to the final. Um, who's your pick? Who's your pick? Um, who do you think will win it? Um, I don't know. I still don't know. I mean, Morocco, you would have thought, obviously, before, because they're playing home, but they seeming to be like a one man or a two-man team. You know, I would say the same thing for Egypt, one man, two-man team. Um, Cote d'Ivoire, I don't know. Let's see, Ahmad again standing out there. Nigeria, they've got a pitch full of stars or so-called stars there. But let's see how it goes. Let's see how it goes. Um, On to club football. So we are being treated to some managerial sagas of late. Clubs versus managers. I mean, during the preseason period, it was clubs versus players. Now it's clubs versus managers. But it brings an interesting topic for me. Obviously, Enzo Maresca gone at Chelsea, Ruben Amorim gone at Man United. It actually brings a nice conversation for me because if you look at how clubs are being run today compared to a few years before, with managers now being coaches and vice versa, right? So we know back in the day, Alex Ferguson, for example, was manager of Man United, Arsene Wenger manager, um, Arsenal, um, Jose Mourinho manager, Chelsea, and so on and so on and so on, and even in other leagues, right? Madrid, Barca, Atletico. Um, these guys are managers, right? And now what's happening is there's a trend of clubs, I guess modern clubs or clubs modernizing to um, having, instead of having a manager who will oversee the bulk of the footballing project, they now have head coaches who will just oversee the team. And then everything else football related around that is everybody else, recruitment, sporting directors, etc., etc., etc. And I'd like to think that the reason why clubs are doing this is because they've seen a pattern where they allow a manager to come in, picks his players, buys his players, say, I want this player, this player, this player. Um, doesn't work out. He leaves after 2 years. Now they're stuck with these players. And another manager comes in and is like, oh, I don't want these players. I want these players, these players, and these players. And then same thing happens, same cycle. And then he leaves after 2 years and then they're stuck with the players. So for sure, they're thinking, this model doesn't work, right? So why don't we have give our sporting director and recruitment team more power and saying, you guys with your, and then empower them with analytics and all this stuff that these American owners are coming with, and saying, we'll pick the player profiles. The medical team will tell you who's fit for how many minutes, and how many games they can play. You just focus on the pitch stuff, training, tactics, strategy for the game, on the pitch, um, operations. And now with these two coaches, there's a notion of manager versus coach, right? These two coaches surely wanted some sort of control over the players that they wanted to the club to purchase or to get in order to fit their playing style, etc., etc. And the club is thinking, nah, we've given you enough here. This is what we're doing. This is the direction we're going as the club. So this conflict has now caused two managers to essentially be out of jobs. So for me, it's quite interesting because I've actually been watching this whole transformational thing with football being now modern with all these with technology and science and sports science and all of this really, really cool stuff, and younger managers, obviously, because I mean, my generation backwards, we are used to the Ancelottis, the Del Bosquis, the Carlos Pereiras, um, the Rijkaards, I can go on and on and on. And now we have this new crop of managers who are doing things a different way, who want control in every aspect. They're talking about diets and all of this and all of that. Not that previous managers weren't concerned about things like that, but these new managers seem a bit more pedantic about those types of things and what kind of player I want and I those kinds of things. So I actually found a video that I'd like to play um, that speaks to the difference between, or just a short clip of it that speaks to the difference between a manager and a coach. Just have a listen to this. Have a listen.
Yeah, for me, the main difference between the head coach and the manager is that the head coach, the main focus is always in the team, in the game, in the developing the tactical and technical aspects of the game, developing the training sessions, developing the study the opponent. It's more focused on the game and how to win the next game. The head coach. And for me, the manager is more focused in the team, developing the team, developing also the aspect of the training, but also everything around it, the fatalities, the scouting process, the negotiation with the players, have a broader role than the head coach.
So despite the fact that head coaches and managers are the ones...
So yeah, that's pretty much what the general, I guess, idea and difference between a coach and a manager are. Pretty much what I explained previously. So it's quite interesting. So who then do these two clubs bring in? Okay, obviously there's murmurs about Chelsea, who they want, because it's again a young manager, but a young manager who's in their system of clubs, who is probably used to how they run things, and he's, I guess, agreeable to just being a head coach and working with what he's given in terms of players. So yeah, I think it's quite an interesting phenomenon that's happening with these coaches. It will be interesting to see who Man United bring in. Will they bring another interim like they did Ragnick or Solskjaer? Will they break bank and go for somebody unexpected, a huge manager, so to speak, in terms of pedigree? Um, so yeah, it's quite interesting, um, to see the developments that are going on in in coaching in football. Going back to our team, what do we do now, right? What do we do now? That would be my question to everyone. What do we do now? Do we build on this team into the World Cup, or do we sack the coach, give somebody else, and if yes, who would it be? If no, we don't sack the coach, okay, so what do we need to change? Do we bring in, I think I've spoken about this in previous studio episodes, bringing in psychologists to work on the mental state of these players at high pressure, intense environments such as an AFCON or a World Cup. That's what I would suggest. That would be one of the things that I would suggest. Um, yeah. What do you guys think? Um, that's what I would think. Let's bring in some psychologists, but also let's not think we're playing in the PSL when we're playing for the national team, right? The PSL, yes, it's fun, it's great, it's easy, it's enjoyable. It's easy because it's yes, it's competitive to a sense, but it's not competitive enough. If you look at now how we are performing in a continental tournament as a national team, with the bulk of the squad coming from that very same PSL, right? Um, so what are we saying? Is this team really good enough? Is this core team really the team to take us to the second round of the World Cup? There's more teams in the World Cup now. It's probably going to be, yeah, it's going to be probably hot and humid. It's in the north. We've never gone past the knockout stages. Like, are we as fans going to have the same hope we had for the AFCON at the World Cup? I mean, we all saw people were very hopeful about this tournament. Yes, we're gonna do well. It's the best team since this. It's the best squad since that. We've got a very great coach. Blah blah blah. All of that stuff. We have unbeaten streak of 27 games, and again, out of those 27 matches, who were those opponents? Were they opponents that we can compete with at the World Cup or at an AFCON, or were they just opponents for the sake of being opponents, right? I might not have them on me now, but let's look at third goal, Mo Salah, game set match, counter attack, right? The Arab teams are coming in. Morocco's in, Egypt is in. It's going to be very tactical as we get into the quarters, because those are very tactical teams. But yeah, it's 3-1 Egypt, Benin. It's injury time of extra time. Egypt are going through, and this is an Egypt that we could have buried in the second game. Just mind you, we could have buried this Egypt in the second game. I mean, they've been scared by Benin. No disrespect to Benin, but Benin are minnows in terms of African or continental pedigree, right? They're young boys. So I just look at all this stuff, and I'm thinking, and I look at our fans, how hopeful we always are, and we don't want to hear the truth. We don't want to hear the truth. We are just not good enough, guys. It's not a coach problem. It's not a Safa problem. We are okay. Maybe to an extent, the Safa problem exacerbated things all the time, but we are not good enough on the pitch. Mentally, we're not good enough. You know, we don't come up with solutions as players, as individuals. I mean, when we used to play back in the day, I can tell you, if the coach set us up in a certain way, right? And I remember this because I did this firsthand. The coach would set us up in a certain system. We play against the opponents. First 10 minutes, first 15 minutes, nah, man, we're struggling. Something's missing. And like, you know what? There's a gaping hole missing there. So why don't one of us go there? We change the way we set up like this. Once we've decided that, then we went to the coach. All it was okay, who's gonna ask the coach for us to do this, right? And that's literally, I went there. I was like, coach, this is not working for us. I mean, I think we were losing 1-0 already at the time. First 15 minutes. Coach, this is not working for us. We're thinking to do A, B, C. Can we do it? And if your coach is, agreeable and he trusts you guys as your players, okay, try it. If not, he'll shut it down. But essentially, that's what I'm talking about. Our guys don't have that thought process. Hey, Bafit, nah, man, we're not creating chances. What can we do? How can we change things up? As individuals and as a group, wingers, maybe take more risks. If you lose it, I'll cover you. Things like that, right? So for me, these are the kind of things that are missing in this team. There's no cohesion. There's no chemistry. Yes, there's chemistry because they play in the PSL, but there's no chemistry in the sense that yo, let's do this. We want to win as a brotherhood, as a team. We're here to win. If you look at other teams, even teams that are not as good as we are, right? Even teams that are not as good as we are on the pitch, they get to pull through because they band together and they motivate each other and they fight together. And a Benin, for example, Mali yesterday, that fighting spirit. We don't have that. We just you know yeah, we wanna wear the number 9, we wanna wear the number 10, but do we are we worth those numbers, right? Are we worth wearing a number 10 and a number 9 and being the so-called best player, right? We have these are the tournaments where we have to prove it. These are the tournaments where we have to show that, hey, right? In fact, as a number 10, you should not even be on the bench. I'm sorry, I seem like I'm bashing the young man, but we have to think very clearly about these things for me, right? Um, um, yeah, it's not looking good. It's not looking good at all. And I knew people were hopeful. Hey, Bafana this, Bafana that, and I kept saying, guys, especially after the second game, the Egypt game, I said, yo, y'all better watch it. And then I warned us against Zimbabwe. And then we look, the scoreline does not tell the entire story of the Zimbabwe game. Those guys, if they were more clinical in front of goal with the chances they had, they would have put us under immense pressure, which I don't think we would have come out of. But we scored 3 goals from their mistakes and we pulled through, and everybody's like, yeah, this is the message that we are taking to the continent, that we are here to win it. How, Sway? How? When you play a defensive lineup, when you have no creativity at all in that lineup, when you have no goal scorers in that lineup, when you have no creators in that lineup, when your best player is a defender, it's ridiculous. So yeah, that's my take. Um, I think I don't know about the squad. Like I said, I don't know. Is the squad really good enough? Um, let's see. Let's see. But good luck, Bafana, Bafuni, and goodbye, Bafuni. See you at the World Cup, at the group stage, and come back. So whoever's gonna go to the World Cup supporting Bafana, just make sure buy a ticket for the first game up until the third game. Then we're coming home, because this is definitely not gonna fly. And I know there's going to be a lot of coaches, there's going to be a lot of pundits. It was all hunky dory. Just because we lost, now we are pinpointing mistakes and whatnot. Well, I was pinpointing things already before. I was not as hopeful as people. But maybe I'm a cynic, maybe I'm negative, maybe I'm a pessimist, maybe I'm a hater, as some would say. But I think for me, it's an open and shut case. It's obvious. It's right in our face. We are just not good enough. It's really that simple. And just because we think we see good football in the PSL doesn't mean anything until we can compete with the highest elite footballers in the continent and elite footballers in the world at a World Cup, even at a Club World Cup, because now it's going to be formalized. We're probably going to have more teams getting the chance to play in those types of environments. Those are the environments where we need to play in order to test ourselves, and we need to export more players into the big leagues in Europe, even South America. Not the MLS. MLS is like glorified college football. Yeah, I said it. Glorified college football. Anyway, that is my take on this Bafana exit. Good luck to anybody who's going to have any hope or belief. I saw a picture of Gaten McKenzie pretending to cry or whatever. Guys, like I don't know what kind of fluke we've been given, but or what kind of powder we've been given. But it's not. We can't be this type of this kind of false hope is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. But that's just my take. Um, for South Africans, I guess it's back to club football. South African fans is back to watching club football because we're out now. But the AFCON special still continues. Like I said, the crew will be back. The crew will be back, and then we'll be back to regular scheduling, and we'll have our virtual Mondays. We'll try and make those regular, and we'll try and have virtual Champions League nights as well, until we're able to have studio episodes. So keep watching. We're only human. Yes, we make mistakes, but we learn and we move on. Just like Bafana, right? Peace.